Earth 2, Issue 1, written by James Robinson, art by Nicholas Scott. This is a parallel Earth that is going on at the same time as our own Earth 0. What happened to Earth 1? It's its own thing. Anyway, this is the story, this is basically the backstory to setting up the series as a whole. So, remember when Darkseid invaded the mainline continuity in Justice Leagues 1 through 6? Turns out he did that on Earth 2 as well, but instead of Darkseid, Steppenwolf was the one who's leading the army of parademons, and he was doing a real good job at it, because Earth apparently it resulted in this whole war called the Apocalypse War, and Batman, Superman, and Wonder Woman were pretty much some of the only, heroes that were left to stop it. So we get this narration throughout the whole thing saying the war had been long fought, so many people died, blah blah blah, but this was the final battle here in Metropolis to take down the army, and none of the heroes would survive this day. So we see just fight scene, and basically Superman and Wonder Woman are trying to keep the crowds of parademons away via brute strength, where Batman can make his way to a central tower that is seemingly controlling the parademons. So it's just extended fight scenes saying Superman's, and apparently at some point in this Lois died a very senseless death at the hands of these parademons, which really pissed Superman off, and Wonder Woman's lost all of her Amazonian sisters, so everyone's a little bit sad about this. So Batman makes his way over to the tower, and some parademons start flying after him, and Robin comes in the Batplane, and this Robin is actually his daughter with Catwoman, aka Helena, and she's coming in, shooting down all the parademons and keeping track of her dad. Meanwhile, we cut over to Kara, aka Supergirl, who is in New Guinea, watching over a tank convoy that is trying to deliver a nuclear weapon to another one of those towers, which are spotted just literally all over the planet. And she's just making sure that it's not attacked. There's also a whole army platoon here, along with one short sergeant named Al Pratt. And someone makes a little jab at him, and he's like, "You want to go? I'm alert. I'm doing my job. What do you want?" And she's like, "Oh, I'm sorry, Sergeant." And he's like, "Yeah, all right, whatever." I bring that up because it seems like it's going to bring it up, but not in this issue. So the fight continues on, and then we get a flashback to what the plan actually is. And it turns out that these towers do control all the parademons, but every time they knock one of them down, the control of those parademons just gets shifted to another tower, and then the next, there's just more towers built, every day. So there's no way to really take out all the towers and stop all the parademons. But Batman reasons that if he could just upload a computer virus into it, when they knock down the tower, it'll transfer all the data over into the next one, including the virus, which will then kill that tower, and it'll just ripple its way out across the entire world, and all the parademons will die. So that's what the plan is, and the fight continues on. Wonder Woman is visited by the god Mercury, who comes in and says, "Hey, you prayed for the gods to help you, and we totally did. But a lot of us died. In fact, I'm pretty much one of the last gods here. Just wanted to stop in and tell you that you don't really have any gods left. Okay, bye." And so Wonder Woman's now super angry, "Oh, now I am fighting for my sisters and my gods. Bring it." And she starts slashing at some parademons. Meanwhile, Steppenwolf comes out through a boom tube, and Superman, he tries to get Wonder Woman's attention, but he's being held back by hordes of parademons. And Steppenwolf sneaks up behind her, takes a giant spear thing, and shoves it straight through Wonder Woman's chest. So, the end of Wonder Woman. And then it seems like Superman also gets disintegrated. Maybe. It's a bit unclear. There's just a big explosion, and he's no longer there. So, yeah. Anyway, at that point, Supergirl realizes he's gone offline. She zooms back over to the Metropolis, and all of the people in the army platoon are left to fend for themselves against the horde of parademons. So they just start firing, and they're like, "Well, we'll do it if we die trying." Finally, we cut to Batman, who's finally inside the tower. He's taking care of as many parademons as he can while Robin's covering the outside. And Batman tells her, "Hey, I'm here. I'm doing it. I'm going to have to launch the self-destruct while I'm in here. This is my last thing. And she's like, no, don't. What? And they just have that moment where it's like, this is the only way. I have to do this. And she's like, no, Dad, please. And he's like, just, I love you, my daughter. Goodbye. And so he detonates the tower, and it goes off pretty much without a hitch. It all the paradigms start dropping out of the sky. The towers start disintegrating. But there's a boom tube appearing somewhere in there, and it seems like there is someone inside of it. And the only people there to witness this are Robin and Supergirl, who then immediately just crash into the portal as best they can and disappear into the pages of World's Finest #1, which also came out this same week. But regardless, the person who was narrating this whole time was Alan Scott, a TV personality and owner of GBC, who is basically making a documentary for the anniversary of their great sacrifice as heroes. And he's rewatching over the cut of it, and he's like, I'm glad I did this, but I'm glad people don't see me as just some raving maniac in love with the sound of his own voice. I'm able to do something like this and distribute it for free, despite the fact that that's costing me so much money as CEO of this big company. And anyway, they're flying over to, I'm not even sure if it says to where, but they are currently over Italy. And as they look out the window, him and a flight attendant, they see these giant smoldering craters of where the towers were. And they say, like, yeah, these things aren't ever going to heal because the Earth doesn't want us to forget. And then just forget all that. We cut over to Lansing, Michigan, where a girl is breaking up with her college boyfriend, saying how he's a loser and he's never really done anything with his life. And she's going to be doing great things, and she just can't be around him anymore, so this is it. And she drives off, leaving him alone. And so later that night, he's sitting up on a hillside, looking over the city, having a beer, and he's like, maybe I am a loser. Maybe me, Jay Garrick, is a loser. And then we see a star come out of the sky, but it turns out it's not actually a star, it's a meteorite, and it crashes into the ground right next to Jay. He walks over to the crater, and it turns out it's not even a meteorite. It's actually Mercury, the god from before. He's back, and he's like, okay, here's the thing. I'm done. There's a great evil coming, and Earth needs a new hero. Guess what you are? And that's where the issue ends. Solid first issue, very solid. Sets up that this Earth is an Earth without the Justice League. The Justice League died here, so it's how do these new heroes step in? We're going to have, I assume, Jay Garrick has historically been the Flash. Alan Scott's historically been the Green Lantern. So I'm curious to see how those things filter in. And art-wise, very good throughout. A bit basic at times, but it gets the point across, and I'm always able to follow the action. So yeah, no, it's good, solid work all throughout, introducing a big new concept of here's just a totally different Earth. It's just a different timeline moving next to our own. So yeah, I'm interested in it. Overall, I give this one an 8. I think it's a good start to the series. Hopefully, you can keep up the momentum. I know that Earth 2, as a line, pretty much goes till the end of the New 52, so we're in it for the long run with this one. Let's see how it goes.